This is Damon Claw.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike, and with me as always is Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And we're Bitbeam Canon, and for the last few years we've been working on
Damon Claw.
So for those of you who have been following us for a while, we can finally let you know what we've been working on. On the screen here is the work in progress Steam page for Damon Claw, but the much bigger news is we're teaming up with NeoFid, a very accomplished Mega Drive developer who's just wrapping up fulfillment right now of their second successful Kickstarter campaign for their second game. I worded that poorly, but 2 games, 2 Kickstarters, they both went very well. The first one was Demons of Asterborg, and then the second one was Aster Bros, and we're going to be working with them to bring Damon Claw to the Sega Mega Drive, also known as the Genesis in America, and we're going to be working with a very established publisher of indie retro games called Pixel Heart to make the Neo Geo version of Damon Claw. So you can imagine we've been extremely busy working all those details out with those 2 teams, and we're almost done working on the page for a Kickstarter campaign we're going to do for all these versions of Damon Claw. And that will be great for people that want to not only support the development, but get a hold of any of the physical versions of Damon Claw, like a real Mega Drive cartridge with a nice box and swag and everything. Same thing for the Neo Geo, but also where we have some really cool stuff planned for collectors that might want a box and swag even if they don't own a Mega Drive or a Neo Geo. Why not offer them some cool stuff too that they can physically collect? And one really cool aspect that this lends to, no matter what version you end up backing on the Kickstarter or after the fact, if you end up getting Damon Claw on Switch or any of the modern platforms, whether it be physical or digital like on Steam, you're not just going to get one of those versions of Damon Claw, you're going to get all 3 versions. So let me scroll down a little bit on this work in progress Steam page, and you'll see this explains right here. Let me expand this a bit more. On all the modern versions, you're going to get a splash screen that is going to let you pick from the 3 different versions to play as. And of course, like being the hardcore pixel art and console fanatics that Corey and I are, we're going to make sure each of the versions has some cool distinction. They're all going to follow that same general aesthetic, but they're also going to have changes and additions made to put best use of that particular console's abilities. There are going to be some subtle changes to the gameplay for each one, but the really cool thing is for each platform, there's going to be a second selectable character that you could play as instead of the star character who we've finally given a name to, Elric. Not only can you play as him on all 3 versions, but there's going to be a second selectable character, and that is going to be a totally different character per version of Damon Claw. So that's going to add a huge amount of replayability. You're going to also be able to switch it up. Oh, this time I want to play the Neo Geo version, or this time I want to play the Mega Drive version, and this time I want to play as this alternate character that will drastically switch up the gameplay. They'll move at different speeds, they'll have different dodging maneuvers, totally different attacks. For example, the star character of Demons of Asterborg by NeoFid, their star character of that game was called Gareth, and this little GIF here shows Gareth being adapted to work as a Damon Claw sprite. So you can see there he has a magical sword instead of a magical gauntlet. So it'll, and he's a smaller, probably to some degree more agile character, although Elric for his size is shockingly agile.
Yeah, for our longer-term fans, in case there's any confusion, I believe this might be the first time we've called him by his actual name that we gave him publicly. So his name is Elric, and not what we were jokingly calling him before. So,
which was Matt Damon Claw. So that was the kind of inside joke running name when we needed to refer to the character. Oh yeah, and going back to the Kickstarter, the very first few seconds you saw of this video is actually just the first few seconds of the Kickstarter video that I'm almost done editing. Like I said, the page is almost done. The Kickstarter itself is going to launch in a matter of literally a week or 2, early to mid-September, which by the time I release this video, it should be September 1st. And one last thought before we wrap this video up. So far, there's only been one social media post from Neofid that we retweeted and stuff that showed people Damon Claw and mentioned the upcoming Kickstarter, and we're very happy with the response so far. People are really liking what they're seeing and being very supportive, which is awesome, and we really appreciate that. One question we're getting pretty frequently is by people that really love and collect other consoles, ranging from the Super Nintendo to much more modern things like Dreamcast, saying, well, what about making Damon Claw for that system as well? And so obviously we can't make Damon Claw for every system all at once, and we're not in a position where we could even promise another console as a stretch goal right now, because we literally would need to meet and make a deal with a developer that has a proven record of developing high quality games for those particular systems. So we would love to. I mean, Corey and I grew up loving Super Nintendo and even the much more kind of underdog systems like the Atari Jaguar that was a 2D powerhouse, but its game library really did not do it justice for what the system was capable of. So all of those things are definitely possible for the future, but it's not something we can promise right now, so we have to keep that not part of this Kickstarter. Just keep in mind, if it makes sense, if it's possible, if we find the right people to work with, we'd love to get other versions of Damon Claw onto other systems as well. And speaking of that, the one last note for longtime followers of ours, especially you Amigans, don't worry, while this Kickstarter does not cover the eventual Amiga version of Damon Claw, the plan has always been that after the other game project that we're working on with some amazing Amiga developers named Metro Siege, the plan always was, once Metro Siege is done, we're going to be working with that same code base that is called Engine 9000 and that same like really fantastic programmer to make sure that that port of Damon Claw is absolutely as spectacular as it can be on Amiga hardware. It's going to be specifically AGA to really put use to the advanced graphic architecture of the second generation Amigas, so to speak. But anyway, so this doesn't change that at all. Like, the Amiga version is going to happen. It's just a matter of we have to wait until we finish Metro Siege first.
And we want to thank you guys so much for all your support and positivity. We have a great fan base, and we hope you'll join us through this next leg of the journey.
Yep, absolutely. And we should be back pretty soon with another video and, of course, social media posts. So please do stay tuned for the next exciting announcements.